Well, hello again, BookTube, and welcome back to The Sound of May, this month-long BookTube event that Steve Donahue and I are co-hosting, and it is the event dedicated all to celebrating literature about music, uh, symphonies, general books of music, fiction or nonfiction with music as the key element. And I created this book tag the other day. I just called it the Sound of May book tag. And I was looking at through the questions, and I guess I'm tooting my own horn here a little bit, but the questions were just too good for me to not answer because music is a very big part of my life, and I've been watching videos of other people answering this tag, and I thought, you know what, why don't I do it? Why don't I, uh, rant about music for 30 or 40 minutes? And so that is what I wanted to do today. So, uh, and I made a video already about this tag, but I really didn't answer any of the questions. So, uh, this is just this whole video is just my answers to the questions, and so we'll just go one at a time. So the first question that I did for this is, what are your earliest memories of music in your life? Did you have any favorite songs or musicians as a child? Is there one musical memory from your childhood or adolescence that sticks out in your mind? And this is sort of a... You're going to see some of the hick parts of my bloodline coming out in this video because the first thing that I can really remember in my life when it comes to music is, uh, as a family, something that I think is a little strange about us, or at least whenever I was younger and my siblings were younger, is that my parents never really cooked all that much. I mean, we ate out at restaurants all the time, um, almost to the point where it was like every day. And something that we always did was on the way back, uh, especially after my dad had been drinking a little bit. When my dad gets to drinking, he starts to think that he's Hank Williams Jr. And so and he had burned this CD. This is all the way back in the time when burning CDs was the thing, and you could put whatever music you wanted to, whatever playlist you wanted to on those CDs. It was Apple Music playlists before Apple Music existed, and he always put all these different country songs that he liked because I am from southeastern Ohio, so it's the law to love country music, and it's a particular kind of country music that is almost completely dead now. Modern country music is just it is nails on a chalkboard, and it is really pandering uh, to the lowest common denominator of people, but that's a rant for another time. And but the earliest memory of the music is all of these times whenever we would be driving home and we would be listening to all of these different songs in the car. And the two songs that stuck out to me the most was a Keith Whitley song called "I'm No Stranger to the Rain." Whenever I was really young, around like 4 or 5, I loved that song. I always wanted that played. And the other one was this band called the Amazing Rhythm Aces. They're pretty much completely lost to time now, but they do a version of Life's Railway to Heaven, and it's a very bluegrassy style of it. So yeah, just remember hearing those two songs, and my dad singing at the top of his lungs in the car on the way back. He's not he's not a good singer at all, and so but that's sort of like my earliest memory is riding home in the car, from eating out at whatever restaurant we went to, and just blaring these country music songs, and all of us singing at the top of our lungs. So that's the answer to that question. Then question number two is, were you ever or are you currently in any music program, a choir, orchestra, band, theater, and do you play any instruments or sing recreationally? And when I was in high school, I did a lot of did a lot of music. I was in my high school's choir. We had like a select. We had like the general high school choir. Then we had this other group, this other choir where it was only about 30 of us in the school, in the high school, and it was considered the more elite singers of the school, and it was actually called like select sound, and so I sang bass. As you could tell, I'm a bass. Sang bass in that choir. I also did musicals in high school. I don't do them. I don't do them anymore. My sophomore year of high school, I played. If you know the musical Anything Goes, the old Cole Porter musical from like the 1930s, I played Elisha J. Whitney, and I wore this really hideous like blue checkered suit, and I had this little fake corncob pipe that I walked around with, and uh, grew out like some facial hair for it, mostly because I was the only person in my school who could grow out facial hair. And then junior year was the COVID year, so we didn't have our musical. Then my senior year of high school, I played Joseph Pulitzer in our production of Newsies, and I grew out a big beard for that, and I had it dyed gray. I had all my hair dyed gray, so you can imagine just I it was a mess. But I was the only one who could grow out facial hair at that time, and I also could not dance or tap dance at all. Like if you've seen Newsies, that is required in that, and so I was kind of stuck as the sort of cartoonish bad guy. So, yeah, but I did choirs and musicals in high school, and then I still sing in a choir now. I'm about aged out of it, phasing out of it. But I was never in any sort of band or orchestra. And do you play any instruments or sing recreationally? I can play a few different instruments, none of them very well. I play guitar, mainly acoustic guitar. I can play banjo and mandolin. I can play ukulele, and I can bang out a couple songs on the piano. But the main instrument that I love is the acoustic guitar. Even though I'm not good at it at all, and I just bought an acoustic guitar the other day that I am going to show off in a different video on this channel, just because I'm so excited about it, and I have been playing it nonstop. It has been cutting into my reading time, but I bought an expensive acoustic guitar. I saved up my pennies and bought one. So in a future video, I'm going to talk about that for the Sound of May. But that's the answer to that one. And question number 3, is there any album that you consider musically perfect or near perfect? This can include popular music, symphonies, Broadway, musical/film scores, etc. And one of the reasons why I asked this question is because I'm just really curious to see what people consider the perfect album or the perfect musical number, because, like, as far as your enjoyment of music goes, that is so subjective. And as far as, I don't know that there are any perfect albums. I don't know that it's really possible to have a perfect album, but I have a list of them, and I'll try to remember to link to at least some of these albums in the description. But the first one is this album by England Dan and John Ford Coley. If you are a music listener of a certain vintage, to remember those singers. But there's an album they did called Nights Are Forever. And like, so it's England Dan and John Ford Coley. For those of you who don't know, we're a sort of a music duo. England Dan, he's also it's Dan Seals. If any of you are old country music fans, you may remember Dan Seals. And he was England Dan before he did his own solo career and everything. But these two guys, they were mostly like session musicians for other singers, and they wrote a lot of songs for other people, and they did a few albums together, sort of as like a super group or whatever. But their album Nights Are Forever is it is damn near perfect. If you get a chance to listen to it, like their most famous song that anyone would possibly know anymore is "I'd Really Love to See You Tonight," an old sort of like soft rock country song from like the 1970s. And the picture of the two of them on the cover of this album is really funny because it is so 1970s. So that's one of them, and then another one is an album by the Canadian folk singer Stan Rogers. It's called Northwest Passage, and that is he's another one who nobody knows about him anymore, and it is I just consider it to be very near perfect because there are some great songs on that album. The song Northwest Passage, that's probably his most famous one. There's that one. He has one called Lies on on that on that album, and just some of these. There's a couple more songs on there that are so good, and it's just nobody ever talks about Stan Rogers anymore. I had never heard of him until like December of last year, and he's skyrocketed to being one of my favorite singers. And he didn't have a very long career. But his album Northwest Passage, if you can find it and listen to it, I think you would really like it. And then the the soundtrack to the movie "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," the Coen Brothers movie with George Clooney and Tim Blake Nelson, and just the really weird uh, film adaptation of the Odyssey. I'm sure you've probably heard of "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," but one of the great things about that movie, it's a silly movie, but it's one of my comfort movies. It's one of my favorite movies in the world, and part of it is because of the soundtrack. That soundtrack to that movie is so good. And for those of you who don't know, George Clooney does not actually sing that song, "Man of Constant Sorrow." It's a guy named Dan Tyminski, who is a terrific musician in his own right. But that's not actually George Clooney singing. Sorry to destroy your worldview if you didn't know that already. But that, if you consider that film score, is very good. Was something I consider almost perfect. And then the more I listen to, this is the last one, and the more I listen to Joni Mitchell's album Blue, the more I start to think that it is nearly perfect. I'm sort of new to listening to Joni Mitchell, but that album in particular, like all of her music, is just so, it's strange. Like it's really good, and of course she's a really good lyricist, and her just the album Blue is one of those. It's a strange experience listening to it, and it's one of those albums that you have to listen to it a couple times. You have to listen to some of those songs a couple times to really, I hate to use this term, but to really get it. But I think the more you listen to it, the more you will really see what she's trying to do with it, the weird idiosyncrasies throughout that album. So that one too. But question number 4 is, who are some musicians that you wish people knew more about? It can be from any genre. You're limited to 3. For each one you list, attach a piece or song to them. And the couple people that I have seen do this tag, I think they may have misunderstood what I'm getting at whenever I ask this question. Is I don't mean musicians wish people knew more about in the sense that I'm requiring you to listen to these people. I don't mean it that way. I mean it in the sense of, like, you're listening to this person who maybe you had never even heard of until a few months ago. And the more you listen to them, again, Stan Rogers is one of my answers to this, where you listen to the person or whoever it is, and they are so good that you think to yourself, how have I never heard of this person until just now? And how has he or she ever, how have they, why are they not famous anymore? Because this is just as good as anything that's coming out now, if not way better. So that's sort of what I mean of musicians you wish people knew more about. And so I have I'm cheating here. I'm listing more than three, but I'll attach something to each of them. The first one is, like I said, Stan Rogers, and the next one, I think most people know about her. I mean, she sang "America the Beautiful" at the Super Bowl this year, but I really don't hear her talked about very much. And that is Brandi Carlile. She's a sort of Americana rock singer, and her lyrics, she is who all of the popular female singers, she is who they all wish they think that they are. She is just, her lyrics are, they're very, I guess the term I would use for her lyrics are very honest, and she's not trying to be a poet or blow you away with her eloquence. She is very, she's talking like, her lyrics, they sound like the way that people talk, if that makes sense. It sounds like someone having a conversation with you. And of all of her songs, I mean, she has a song called Turpentine that is very good. The story, the joke. She put out an album, I think very early this year, called Returning. No, I think the album is called Human. But her leading single off of that is called "Returning to Myself," and it is beautiful, a beautiful song. And so, the one I'll attach for that is the live version of that she does at Red Rocks in Colorado. Just a really great, and I wish that everybody knew more about her. I wish that she had the fame that Taylor Swift had. More about her later. Yes, so Brandi Carlile. Another one, Jim Croce. I don't know if maybe he's still known to people, but I never hear him talked about anymore in music circles. And he was another one like Stan Rogers who died early. He was mostly popular in, I think, the early 70s, early to mid 70s, and he has a song. His most famous one is "I Got a Name." He's got a few other, really a whole catalog of great songs. Some of his songs are not all that good, but he was a songwriter from the 70s that really, after he got more famous after he died, 70s and 80s, and then really I think everyone just kind of stopped talking about him. His song "I Got a Name" is in Quentin Tarantino's movie Django Unchained. It's a really random spot of the movie, but like if you know that song, like you sit there and listen to it and you think, what why is this in this movie? I'm not upset about it, but so yeah, that so Jim Croce, and then this heavy metal band that so as far as music genres that I listen to a lot, excuse me, heavy metal is one of my main genres, and there is a band that, if you've not heard of them, they're called Ghost. It's a Swedish metal band, and the only way that I can explain them is, imagine the band ABBA with heavy metal electric guitars, and all of their lyrics are about like the devil. But it's one of those bands that you just have to listen to them, and I've seen them in concert twice, and they put on an amazing concert. They all dress up like the lead singer. He dresses up like a demon pope type person. It's hard to explain unless you've seen live videos of them in concert. And they famously have a guy in the band who he plays this this old pope from the 14th century who can play the saxophone. Again, it's such a weird thing to see them live, but their music is really catchy and really good. And as far as heavy metal, it's not the type of heavy metal that's just noise. Like, there is a melody to it. There are guitars. The lyrics actually make a little bit of sense. And yeah, it's ABBA with heavy metal guitars. So I will link to their most recent album that they put out I think last year, at the end of, or spring of last year. It's called Skeleta. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but they are just they're really good. They're really in a cheesy, silly kind of way. And then the last one is the greatest country music act of all time, and I know who you're thinking of, but it's not them. And the greatest country music act, which is the band Dave and Sugar, that deserves all of the awards, and they have their most famous song is probably "Queen of the Silver Dollar." They have a few songs that were very minorly popular in the 70s and 80s, and it's just a weird. You probably have only ever heard of them if you were from southeastern Ohio or if you're from the backwoods of Kentucky or West Virginia, and it they're they're really good, but they're sort of an acquired taste. But they just I laugh, I chuckle or smile every time I think about them because it's just you have to be a really nerdy country music fan to have ever even heard of them. So yeah, just check them out. They have a greatest hits album, which is really funny to think about. Because it's called Dave and Sugar Greatest Hits, but it really, that plural should be left out of there. It should just say their greatest hit, and then a few other songs that we added in. But yeah, so that whole list: Stan Rogers, Jim Croce, Ghost, Brandy Carlisle, Dave and Sugar, and then if you find the time, there is this Irish folk singer that. Okay, if you don't listen to Irish music, I'm sure you've never heard of him, but if you do, I'm sure you have. His name is Paddy Riley. I think he was mostly famous in the 70s and 80s. Like, he's still alive somehow, but he sang all of those traditional Irish songs, like Raglan Road, The Fields of Athenry. Like a lot of those Irish folk singers from the 70s and 80s who just sang all the popular Irish folk tunes or drinking songs. He's my favorite of all of them. A very booming baritone voice, a lot like Stan Rogers, but more cleaned up than Stan Rogers. So yeah, so your homework is Dave and Sugar, Ghost, Jim Croce, Stan Rogers, Brandy Carlisle, and Paddy Riley. I think you'll find something to like out of all of them. So it's a long-winded answer to that question. Question number 5, is there a novel or poem you have read that you believe captures the beauty and transformative power of music, or what about nonfiction? And I've really not read any nonfiction about music, shamefully. As much as music is a big part of my life, I am currently reading a biography of Clara Schumann that I'm really enjoying, but it's the first sort of nonfiction book about music that I've ever read. But as far as something that captures beauty, transformative power of music, is, I'm going to be a broken record if you have watched any of my videos, is Body and Soul by Frank Conroy. It's my favorite book in all the world, the book I love more than any other, and it's about this kid named Claude Rawlings, and we meet him in sort of when he's like 4 or 5 years old, and he's living in poverty in New York City in sort of the mid-1940s, and you follow his life as he's a piano prodigy, and you follow his life as he practices and gets more and more ambitious as he becomes an adult and starts performing all over the world with orchestras and other famous musicians. And it really carried me away whenever I first read it. I'm going to reread it, for this event, But it is my favorite book in all the world, and that's the only book I've read so far, book or novel, that really captures like the death grip that music can have on you, that certain songs can have on you. It is it's really magic. The prose is really not anything to write home about, but it, if you're one of the 5 or 6 people in the world who have ever even who have read the book, it's pretty much forgotten now. The only reason I have heard about it is again Steve Donahue, but you really should read. You really should read that. I could gush for 40 minutes about that book, but for the sake of time, I mean, we're already an hour and a half in here. So, question number 6 is: who is a musician that everyone seems to love, but you just can't stand or understand the appeal of? You are limited to 3. The more hateful, the better. And so I will sort of list these in ascending order of anger that it will induce in people, and definitely, again, since I listen to a lot of country music, I I will list as an honorable mention Morgan Wallen. I don't think I am. Those who listen to classic country music, I don't think will argue with me a lot. Morgan Wallen is terrible, and he is a symptom of the disease in modern country music now, where it's if you are even from south of the Ohio River and you naturally have a more hick accent, that automatically means that you are a country music singer, and you beat your accent to death. That's the only way I can think about it. Is instead of, if you have never said y'all in your life, and you try to sound like a redneck and say y'all in your music, it sounds so forced. And like, he's not a bad singer per se, but all of his songs, he doesn't write any of his own music. He has all these idiot bigwig music producers that write his lyrics, and they are so dumb and so stupid. It's basically, they're Mad Libs for country songs. Famously, in the David Allan Coe song, it's you have to talk about your truck, you have to talk about prison, you have to talk about mama, talk about the rain and trains and dirt roads and drinking beer and your tractor. And it is so, God, I hate him. And he's also just, if you have read anything about it, if you've learned anything about him against your will, you also know that he's just a prick. So honorable mention, Morgan Wallen. And then the next one is, I will sort of echo something that Steve Donahue said, sort of in the same genre, is Pearl Jam. Really just the grunge genre as a whole. I don't get them at all, and I could make a very good case for saying that it is objectively bad music. Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, like, when the music is, I really hate the way that the singers sound in it. So something like Pearl Jam, if you cannot tell whether the singer is saying well, whale, or while, that's bad. And I just don't like it at all. It's people who have gotten so high on drugs, and they decide to write an album, or decide to throw a bunch of words together and try to sound musical. And because all their songs are really sad, they're just really deep and introspective, and they're brooding, but they're really just stupid and they suck. So Pearl Jam, and then the next one, probably not even really outrageous to say this, but Taylor Swift. I really don't. So this is number 2. Honorable mention, Morgan Wallen. Third place is Pearl Jam. Second place is Taylor Swift. And her, again, the people who love her, I don't understand how they do not listen to Brandi Carlile. I have heard so many people talk about how much they love Taylor Swift and how her music just really speaks to them on a deep level. And it's a lot of I don't want to pick on I don't want to pick on women, but I'm going to pick on women. And they say that her songs really capture the feeling of what it's like to be a woman. And I don't see how that's true because they are so bland and dumb and every other negative adjective you can think of. And it's like, if you listen to Taylor Swift and you think her music is really deep, then, and that's the only one you listen to, I'm begging you, listen to Brandi Carlile, Emmylou Harris, Linda Ronstadt, Dolly Parton. Like, there is so much better music out there than hers. I mean, this is a free country. If you listen to Taylor Swift, you can do that. Fine, do whatever you want. But if you're eating the same bland deviled egg every single day, like, just change it up. And when you listen to Brandi Carlile, Emmylou Harris, you will see, I think you will see that Taylor Swift's music is really bad. It's really not all that good. Not to mention the song that she wrote or some idiot producer wrote about her football player boyfriend's appendages. I won't even go there. And then number one, this is going to cause all kinds of outrage. But I do think in this instance, I don't think that they are. I'm not saying that they are objectively bad. This is me. I never understood the appeal of the Beatles. I have tried really hard to like their music, all their different eras that they've had, all the different drugs that they've tried, and the different people that they've been married to. I've tried to listen to them. I've tried to see what other people see in them, and I just don't get it. I've never seen them as anything other than just okay. And I will preface this by saying I've always preferred the Rolling Stones over the Beatles. The Rolling Stones are not exactly they're not exactly musical geniuses. A lot of their stuff is drugged up too, but the Beatles, I've never been able to really listen to them and enjoy it, to enjoy their music. And their songs are just played to death on the radio. The Let It Be, Here Comes the Sun, and those are good songs. Like, they're good songs. I fully admit they are good songs, but I don't see them as these genre defining. They have changed rock music, and they've changed that sort of genre. I'll admit that they are certainly one of the most influential bands ever, but I don't get the appeal of their music at all. Putting them on this pedestal of greatest bands of all time, I just don't get it. And again, that's probably me. The closest I've ever come to seeing the genius in any of their music is their song Norwegian Wood, and that's mostly because, like, when you take some of their chord progressions and you break them down to simply just like sort of playing them out on a guitar or putting it out on the piano, they really are very cool chord progressions. But listening to what they have recorded and listening to their own audio, I'm not able to listen to it. I can't enjoy any of it. So yeah, I will probably be hunted down by the CIA by saying I don't like the Beatles. But question number 7. Good God, this video is 2 hours long. Number 7, which is more important to the song, the music/melody or the lyrics? And I asked this question because, again, my parents, before any of us kids were born, my parents would debate this all the time. My dad is all about the lyrics, and my mom is all about, does it sound good? So for me, the music is more important, and the melody. No matter how good of a lyricist you are or how good of a poet you are, you cannot keep me listening to you if you sound like RFK Jr. trying to sing. I'm looking at you, Bob Dylan. like there, you have to be tolerable to listen to. Your singing voice, or the the music has to be tolerable. And if you hear snoring behind me, by the way, it's my 80-year-old dog Gizmo. So if you hear the snoring, just to try to ignore it. It's in the back of my ear. He's sitting behind me. But yeah, no matter how good of a lyricist you are not going to be able to get me to keep listening to you if you're a terrible singer. I can appreciate your poetry, I can appreciate your lyrics, but I'm not going to listen to you every day. So then that sort of leads us to question number 8. What constitutes music versus noise? Where do you draw the line? Must music always have a melody, or can it take on other forms? I am of the opinion that music always has to have at least some kind of melody that you can pick out. Uh, something I something I tend to agree with a lot of the time when it comes to music or songs is a lot of times if the song does not sound good by just playing it on the piano with no other backing instruments, uh, can you play the song on the piano or can you strum it out on the guitar? Does it sound good stripped down to that? And if it is, and if you can recreate it with just those instruments, then yeah, that is music. Something that, again, as I have argued up and down with people over the years, is that I don't consider hip hop or rap to be music. Mostly because most of the time it doesn't have a melody to it, and two, none of it is made by instruments. It's made by a computer. It is definitely it's a form of artistic expression, sure, but it isn't music. So I guess you could say it's like a poetry reading, but we don't consider reading poetry as music. Well, those of us who live in reality do not consider poetry music, and so yeah, to me, melody always has to be present for something to be considered a song or for something to be considered music. So question number 9. If you were to introduce yourself to someone through sharing a playlist with them, what songs would be on that playlist? And for this, I have, and I'm trying not to sound like a snob when I say this, but I have probably a wider taste in music than anyone else I've ever met. In one minute I could be listening to heavy metal, then the next one I could be listening to classical music, and then I can switch over to country music, then I can switch over to rock and roll, and then to jazz. It's a bipolar taste in music that I have, and so I'm not sure you could really get a read of who I am as a person just through my playlist. But some songs, things like Kathy's song by Simon and Garfunkel, I think that's one of the best songs ever written. Again, that's just subjective. That's just for me. If you read the lyrics and then if you watch them perform it, I think it is very nearly perfect. And it's one of those songs by Simon and Garfunkel that no one ever really listens to. No one really thinks about. So yeah, Kathy's song, a Raglan Road, that old Irish folk song that I think it was Patrick Kavanagh that wrote it. It was initially a poem and then it was put to music. So something like that. Something by ABBA. I love ABBA, as indicated by My Loving Ghost. Yeah, something by ABBA. If you could read my mind by Gordon Lightfoot. Some kind of Stan Rogers song, and then also probably sort of capturing my sense of humor is, if you remember the movie Arthur from, I think it was 1981, with Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli, Arthur's theme song by Christopher Cross, that would be like at the top of the playlist for me. And then question number 10 this is the last question. Music itself has no practical purpose. It does not cure diseases, feed or clothe you, or protect you from being attacked. So, what is the purpose of music for humans, and why do you listen to music? And for me, I thought about doing just a whole separate video just about this question. And for me, when it comes to music, is an old band teacher from my high school. I think he put it best. Put it this way, best is music. Music brings color to the world. Uh, like none of us can imagine. Uh, None of us can imagine living a life without music in it. There's that famous Friedrich Nietzsche quote: "Without music, life would be a mistake." But if you think about a life without music, it's sort of like walking around seeing everything in grayscale or in black and white. And I I really don't. And Alex's archives, he talked about this too. I really don't know. It's a strange thing of these different tonal frequencies, these different noises that we make on these instruments. That we all of us love it, and so it's a hard question to answer. But I always want to know what other people think about it, and so for me, it's like music brings color to the world, and for me, playing guitar is a very therapeutic thing, a very fulfilling thing. You can have the worst day in the world. Those of you who play guitar or play piano, or whatever instrument that you love playing, I'm sure you'll understand. Like, you can have a really crappy day, and then at the end of the day, you look and you see your guitar on the stand, or you see your piano, and then you think, my old friend, and then you go to it, sit down, and you play it, and then through the movements of your fingers or whatever, like, you tell it stories and it tells you stories back. It's like, and all of your troubles fall to the wayside. And so, yeah, so that's just a really different feeling. Those of you who, like I said, who play instruments, I'm sure you'd understand what that feeling is like. But that's the best way I can explain it. So, yeah, I've talked for 4.5 hours, and I think that's good. But I think hopefully you found something you liked in this. But those are my answers to the Sound of May tag that I made. And so, again, if you have a BookTube channel, and do this tag, because I want to see what everybody thinks, what their music taste is, because music is one of my favorite things in the world. One of the only things I like more than reading. And so, again, join this event, do this tag, consider yourself tagged in this. And so, yeah, I'll see you next time.